The events at KICC today.
Good morning, Sophia. So we are here at the KICC, like you said, and it has been 23 years since the unfortunate incident took place in Rwanda, and the Rwandans in Kenya are coming together to mark this this date as an onset of 100 days of mourning, whereby they're going to remember those 100 days that took place in 1994, where people unfortunately lost their lives owing to civil conflict. Tutsi people and moderate Hutus lost their lives, and so with me here is the ambassador to Kenya, Rwandan ambassador to Kenya, Mr. James Kimonyo, who's going to give us more on why it is important for Rwandans to remember this day, even 23 years later. You might think that's a long time, but I think there are some deeper reasons why Rwandans keep remembering this and keep marking these days and mourning even for 100 days. So welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you so much.
So could you give us an overview? Why is this important even 2 decades later?
I think, as you just mentioned, today, 7th of April, in 1994, genocide against the Tutsi began. And in just a matter of 100 days, 1 million people were killed. So this day will remain very important in our history, and we commemorate the genocide against Tutsi every 7th of April to keep our memories alive. The reason why we do this is to continue remembering those who perished, but at the same time remind Rwandans and the future generations to make sure that this thing will not happen again in our country.
All right. So what are the events that we're supposed to expect today? Because this, I know, has been lined up all the way to midday. What are some of the things that have been planned, and what is the theme of this year, and why is it really important?
Thank you. The theme of this year is fighting genocide against Tutsi, and fighting the ideology, but also building on our progress to forge the future. And the events that are planned today, the usual format of the commemoration of genocide, we have, the high-level segment where we have speeches from myself, from the government representative, the government of Kenya, and then we have the UN representative who deliver the message from the Secretary General, which is a normal thing that's done on this day. We also have the survivors who will be giving the testimonies of what they went through during the genocide. We shall hear poems and songs, and then we shall have the Walk to Remember, which is an event that we do to show the public what is happening and make the public aware of what happened, and to make sure that this does not happen in Rwanda and elsewhere in the world.
All right, so Rwanda has come a really long way from the dark days. Now it's really progressive in terms of business, the economy is booming. But of course, with that experience, there are a lot of lessons that Rwanda can teach Kenya. So what are some of these lessons that Rwandans can teach Kenyans and the rest of Africa about civil conflict, about peace, and about sustainable peace, and, moving out of the ashes of such dark times in our country?
I think it's very unfortunate that conflicts happen. But once the conflict befell your country or it happens in your country, I think the best way is to sit together and forge the positive way forward. Because we work under the principle that once you create the conflict between the past and the present, then you are likely to lose the future. That's why Rwanda decided that we are not going to be held back by the past. Yes, we shall remember what happened, one of the victims, but then sit together and work together in the process of unity and reconciliation, but also work to develop our country and forge a very positive future for this generation and the generations to come.
All right, so we're going to have some questions for you from studio. We have Sophia standing by.
Right, Trix, if you can hear me, just a question quickly to the ambassador. We saw some form of diplomatic row with Rwanda expressing displeasure with this day being regarded and termed by the UN as genocide in Rwanda. They want it to be described as genocide that was carried out against the Tutsis. Can the ambassador tell us more about this and how they're engaging with the UN to see a rebrand of sorts in as far as these commemorations are concerned?
Yeah, so, Mr. Ambassador, there was a tiff between Rwanda and the United Nations over the overview of what this was. Was it just a genocide in Rwanda or a genocide against the Tutsi? Could you explain to us more about this?
I think what happened last year, on this day, we had a similar event at the UN. And as we were preparing for the event, we had agreed that we put the banner inside the venue that showed what actually happened in Rwanda, which is the genocide against the Tutsi. And at that time, the co-organizers from the UN side refused to allow us to come with our banner. Then I did make it clear during my statement last year that if we don't agree on this theme of what actually happened in Rwanda, next year we're not going to organize the event at the UN. And as we are closer to this event, I met with the UN and said, are you still, holding the same position that we're not going to say it is a genocide against Tutsi? They said, we can't. Then I said, politely, let's have the event in a different venue where you are welcome to come and deliver the statement, but we want to do something that is actually accepted by Rwandans, because that's what indeed happened. And I actually reminded them about their own resolutions, because the International Convention on Punishment and Prevention of Genocide that was adopted by the General Assembly in 1948 on 9th of December clearly states what is genocide. The definition of genocide is clear. It is acts committed with intent, mark the word intent, to destroy in whole or in part a particular group, national, region, racial, or ethnic. So in our case, if it is a genocide in Rwanda, that means someone else from somewhere, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, wherever, came and committed genocide in Rwanda. That can be called genocide in Rwanda. But since a specific group of people was targeted, and these are Tutsis, that becomes a genocide against a particular group.
Thank you.
Against the Tutsi. So then we disagreed on that, and we decided to have an event, our event at the KICC, and they have accepted to come and deliver the message. That's why we had that difference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassadors. You have heard it from the horse's mouth. They're trying to take control of the message that is out there about what happened in 1994. There's going to be, as you've heard from the ambassador, a lot of events that are going to mark this day in commemoration of that unfortunate incident in Rwanda. And of course, just to keep the message alive, to keep awareness coming out to the people in Rwanda, and of course, here, Rwandans here in Kenya and across the world who are commemorating this day that has been dubbed Kwibuka. Back to you in studio.